Welcome to this course on building citations for your SEO. My name is Alex Ganadinik and I'll be your instructor. I sincerely appreciate the time and trust you're putting into me in this course, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure you get a lot of value from this course, starting with I answer 99% of student questions within 24 hours. Now, let me briefly tell you what to expect from the course and we'll start right away. Well, we're going to build citations and brand mentions. These are things you can do for your website's SEO on day one, week one, because these are all easy, low-hanging fruit. Because you might have heard about link building for SEO, how it's difficult. Well, citation building and brand mention building is the first step in that, and it's not difficult. That's the great part about this course. The course was also designed to be relatively quick, so you can get in and apply these strategies literally within the same hour as you begin going through the course. You will be able to apply with every video, you'll be able to apply those strategies and actually implement them and actually boost your website. So if your website is new or you haven't really been doing any SEO for your website at all, this is the first low-hanging fruit in terms of link building. So citations is a part of link building, but it's the easy part that you can do to kind of put yourself, on the map, in terms of not on the literal Google map, but so that Google sees, oh, you're doing SEO for your website, we should begin to rank your website a little higher. Is it going to make all the difference and you're going to compete with the billion-dollar businesses out there and billion-dollar websites? No, you won't be competitive with them just through citations, but at least you'll be competitive with other small business owners. And this is, again, something you can do today, and it's definitely step one of SEO for any website. So with that, let's begin the course. When you are beginning to think about how to get your website to rank higher, you have a few options like link building. We'll talk about that later. And some easier options like brand mentions and citations. In this video, I'm going to explain to you about brand mentions and citations, which are actually the first and easier things you can do to get external mentions of your site. So this is a blog post of mine. It doesn't matter what it's about. The only thing I want to share with you is an example of a brand mention. You see in this paragraph, I'll make it a little bigger for you. It says learning from Altium, and then I link to this Altium and on why it's better than this Circuit Studio. You see how Circuit Studio is not linked, but it's certainly a brand mention. It's a very specific, unique brand online. Even Eagle, when mentioned in a certain context with certain keywords around it that are industry keywords, probably there's only one brand name, Eagle, for that. So if you have a unique brand name like Circuit Studio or Eagle or my name, Alex Ganadinik, there's nobody else named that way, or even my website, problemio.com, it's unique, then even brand mentions, they are the easiest things to get, simplest things to get, because people don't have to link to you, but Google begins to put your website on their radar. It's a tiny, tiny trust signals. And so in this video, we're after the tiny trust signals that are very easy and doable. So that's a brand mention. Now, what's a citation? A citation can be a link from basic social media sites. For example, this is my Twitter profile, and you see you get to put your website on there. Google understands that anyone can put their own link and link into their own site. It's not that hard to do. It doesn't build that much trust, but it builds a little bit of trust. But what's also important is the activity of the social account. If this account had no tweets, no followers, no activity, then of course it will be less impactful. It would help my website rank less. But this is a real account. I use it. I don't have 1 million followers, but I have some followers and I use it sometimes. So this link is worth slightly more. And you see, I also put links to my books and courses in my bio. And when you actually use this profile as a real user, when you make some posts, you can actually link to your website as well. Those are also social media citations. Now, citations, again, they're not that impactful and powerful, but they'll help a little bit. You just have to keep doing it regularly and a lot. They're very easy to do. Now, that's Twitter. Let's take a look at Facebook. On Facebook, you can register a business page, and this is my business page. So you can see in the About section on the left side here, you can add your link. You see, link to your website right here. There's a link to my website there, problemio.com, and also the page's name is Problemio. So I'm reiterating the brand. And I also, you see, put that little link
of my website in the little about blurb and everywhere else I could, you see. And so I made a list for you of citations you can build on day one. It's here. Let's go through it. On social media, you can create a Facebook page like I just showed you, a Facebook group that's public so that Google can crawl it. And on your personal Facebook profile, if your personal profile is not private, then you can add as your employment link or your current job, link your website. Also create accounts on all of these social networks: Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And things like TikTok, they always change, but right now when I made this video, I checked and you can put a link in the bio. You can't hyperlink it, but you can at least mention it in your about. So that's what you do. You can create a Quora listing and certainly create a YouTube channel for your business. You don't have to have a lot of videos, but certainly at least in your live channel, there will be a link in the about section to your website. And then there's this local citations. Now, let me explain what that means. Traditionally, citations have been associated with local businesses. Like, let's say you're a local cleaner, then of course you would want to be listed locally. And there's all kinds of local directories. What I would recommend is, even if you have a global business, a website, you can add your business to all of these local listing sites. Google.com/business, Yelp.com, Bing Places, HotFrog. These are general directories for the most part. Are they going to give you a lot of lift for your website? No. Are they going to give you a tiny, tiny boost? Yes. Most sites on day one, that's exactly what they need. And if you're not a local website, you can still provide maybe some home address or something like that. In none of these, you have to make your address public to the general public. It can be private, but at least you can create a business listing with your link to your website. So you'll start to have all these activities from all of these major sites, and that will be the boost that you can have on day one. I'm going to scroll through these so that you can look. That's the whole list. I'll also have this as a downloadable PDF, so you can download it or at least use it as a PDF for reference, and then go through these and create profiles on all these sites with your links. And some of these profiles, like Pinterest, maybe you don't plan to use Pinterest, but the ones you do plan to use, maybe your LinkedIn is important. Try to make an effort to not just create a profile and leave it dormant, but maybe at least once a month post something so that you have a little bit of life to that account, and that will translate positively to the impact of your citation. Now, are you going to get clients from these? Most likely not. This is not for that. This is just for giving you that slight little early boost for SEO for your website. Traditionally, citations have been thought of as something that is only for local businesses. And obviously, many businesses are not local businesses. But even if your business is not a local business, we don't want to lose this opportunity to get citations, because a lot of the easy citations you can get are precisely from local listings. So what if your business is just an online business? You can think of me. My business might be an online only business, right? Online courses, books online that are sold. Well, every business has a local component, and I'd like for you to start thinking of what's the local component of your business. Some examples are, for me, I can do coaching online, I can do coaching offline. If you do any kind of service, so it can be things like design service, marketing service, any kind of technical services, anything like that has an online component and of course an offline component. And the offline component is what you can use to create your local listings. And it opens up many opportunities for you. Now you'll ask me, do I have to give my address? At times, yes. So if you had an office or a brick and mortar physical location, it would be easy to give away the address. But what if the only address you have is your home and you don't want to make that public information? That's a common concern, but there's a common answer. There's a couple of ways to go about this. First, you can ask any kind of a friend who does have an office, and you can give their address. Nobody's going to actually come to that address. Most people will even if they find you, they'll call or something else. So nobody will actually come there, but you do need to provide some sort of address. If you don't have a friend, you can get a PO box. And if you cannot get a PO box, then you can give your address. So you have a few options: friend, office, PO box, or your own address. Whatever you feel comfortable, whatever you can get. Most people can do at least one of those. But once you do, not only might it be good for your SEO, but you might actually get discovered through local search, and you might at some point get local clients. And the immediate places where you can begin to post your profile in your account with your link are Google Business, which is google.com/business. You literally go there, you sign up for your business, you go through the form. Biz.yelp.com, that's the way to get on Yelp. And bingplaces.com is the same as Google Places, but for Bing. Smallbusiness.yahoo.com/local. You see all these gigantic sites, they have local directories, and this is the way to get there. And what if you'll tell me, well, Yelp isn't popular in my area? That's cool. Whatever area you are, there are some local listing sites that are popular in your area. And there's also industry related sites. I'll talk about those in the next video. But for location specific local sites, all you do is like search Google for whatever your service is locally, and whatever the sites that come up, those are the ones you should put your profile on. But the truth is that even if Yelp is not popular in your area, you might not get clients from it, but you will get a citation from it because you can get a link from Yelp. So it's still useful. So think of any kind of local component and have that be what you register your business as in the local directory sites, and you'll immediately be able to get your early citations literally within the same day or within days, very, very early, and that will start to put your website on Google's radar. In this video, I want to show you how to find industry-specific local directory sites. What I mean by that is sites like Yelp, but Yelp is a general site. So what about sites that are specific either for your area or for your type of business? Maybe you're a dentist, maybe you're a therapist. In this case, look, I searched for psychologist in New York, and what I got is this ad for this BetterHelp, which before making this video, I looked into it, and that was a directory. So if you're a psychologist, you could add your business here. Now, Psychology Today, it's another directory. Again, boom, you can also add your business there. And this New York Psychologist, I haven't looked into that one, but this one is also a possibility. You see, so in addition to that, obviously Psychology Today is ranking here, they're number one. And then you see ZocDoc. ZocDoc wasn't in the ads, so you want to look both in the ads and in the organic listings. Now, be nice to the ads, don't click on them because these people are paying for this. So don't click it, but just make sure that you are aware of who's advertising and look through all the sites and see, are these sites where I can add my own profile? If you can, do that. And what's even better, if not only just adding your profile, but actually making a good profile that ends up ranking there highly so you can actually get clients. But for our purposes now, we're just looking after the citations, which you can get as soon as you see a site that allows you to create your profile, boom, add it and you'll get your citation. And then there's other sites like this one, for example, NewYorkBehavioralHealth.com. Well, I don't know if that's going to be a good one for us, but we know a really easy way to find out, right? You click it and you see, can we add our business there? I don't think we can because look, it looks like some kind of a office or something like this. So it doesn't look like it's a possibility. That's fine. There's plenty of other sites. You see, like ZocDoc is definitely a place where you can add your listing and create a citation. What about other businesses? Let's say Business Coach. You see definitely Yelp, you have that there. Oh, Thumbtack, you can definitely add your business to Thumbtack. Now there's also this thing Noomly, which is what I was hoping would come up because that's a directory for coaches. Only a coaching directory. Now you have to pay to be on it and stuff like that. So some of these directories you have to pay, and some of them you might be able to get a basic free profile. If you're able to get a basic free profile, then of course create your listing there, because even though you'd like to get clients from there, the clients are only on cherry on top. But for now, obviously, we're only looking for the citation. So even if you can get a basic free listing, that's going to give you that little link and a citation. So whatever your business is, if you're doing anything in real estate, you look at Trulia. Trulia is a place where you can find and rent homes, but they also have listings of like local movers and local things. What about if you're a restaurant or a coffee shop? Well, there's a ton of review sites for restaurants or coffee shops, and so on and so on and so on. Almost every industry has a local directory for that industry or a general directory for that industry. And you can easily just create an account literally the same day as you're watching this video. As soon as this video pauses, do this Google search for you, for what your business is. Make sure you can add your business to as many of these sites as possible. And for extra points, not only add the sites, but see it through so that after some weeks or days or months, your listing is the number one listing, out competing all your competitors there so that you can get actual clients from it as well. One thing you can do to give yourself a little more branding and actually to boost your website SEO is to, on LinkedIn, under My Network, if you go to pages, you can create a page for your business. For example, like I have a page for my business, and that page can act like promotion for your company, but also so you can put your website in there and it will act as a citation, which means it's not going to be a tremendous help for your SEO, but it will be a tiny, tiny help for your SEO. Not to mention that this will be a good place for you to post things specifically that you are promoting, specifically company developments. If you don't necessarily want to do that from your personal profile, you can do that as a page. And then you can add these pages to your public profile so that you can further reinforce them there. And you can add multiple pages as you saw. Here I've got a few pages, some of them are mine. For example, this outdoor media, that's also mine that I created. If you want to create a new page, it's a little hard to find. So what you would do is you would go to work, and at the very bottom here, create a company page, and then you obviously would create it for a small business, and you would fill out all this information with your name, your company, and it would be public on LinkedIn, and that will serve as a citation and for you to further brand yourself and your company. Now you understand that brand mentions and citations, they're easy to get. If you're starting your website, if you just built it, they're the easiest thing to get, and you should get them on day one right away ASAP. But at some point you run out of them, and at some point they only give a small value to new sites. But then what do you do later? And later what you got to do is get these backlinks. What are the backlinks, or sometimes called links, or they're essentially hyperlinks from other sites to yours. And because they involve other websites and other website owners, they are difficult to get. And because they're difficult to get, Google trusts that a lot more. Because your own citations, you can build those on your own. Anybody can say, I'm great. That's what you're trying to do. But when other people say you're great by linking to you, because nobody would link from their site to a bad site, people link to worthy sites, then it's a much stronger vote in the way that Google looks at it. So the backlinks, they are the number one ranking factor in Google. And what you have to do is get authoritative links, meaning from great sites and on relevant content. So if you have a cooking site, but my website is about baseball, it's not the same. It's irrelevant. But if you have a cooking site and my site is cooking and I link to you, that's a very good indicator. That is a sign. So relevance is very good. And if my site is authoritative, that's fantastic. For example, if my site is spam123.com, that's a very bad URL probably, right? But if my site is cnn.com, that's extremely authoritative. Obviously, CNN wouldn't link to a small business website, but you'll try to get sites that are more or less authoritative, closer to what CNN is and less to what spam123.com is. And don't try to get too many shortcuts like interlinking with other website owners. That doesn't work, or getting links from bad sites. That also doesn't work anymore. SEO has been around for a while, and Google has wised up to a lot of the shortcuts. Not only they don't work, but they can also get you penalized. So try to be patient and do things the right way. It will pay off long term. And remember, it is difficult. If you find it frustrating, that's the experience of this process. Hopefully, citations and brand mentions get you far enough that you don't have to build too many links, because it is a difficult process, long-term process. Now, let me give you a little bit of an introduction to how to get links so you can actually start now. First of all, if any of your friends have blogs, preferably blogs on the same topic as your website is, then just reach out to them and ask them, hey, can you do me a favor? I got this new site. Can you link to me? Anybody in your industry that you know, any business contacts, ask them for that little favor. And then once you run out of your contacts, then reach out, do cold outreach to bloggers, people who might help. You'll have a small success rate with strangers, and it might be good to first build a business relationship before you ask for favors of strangers. But bloggers are a good source of backlinks. And long term, what you want to generally do is create good linkable content. Linkable generally means things that people link to. What do people link to? Interesting articles, new findings, new ideas, sometimes clickbaity things, although I don't really recommend that, and maybe industry statistics, something authoritative about your industry because you are writing or creating a website about some topic that you're expert in. So the idea is that you'd have something to share that's interesting and if it's interesting, people will more naturally link to it. But you also have to ask a lot because people don't always think, oh, I got to link to them. So sometimes you have to ask for it as well. Now, link building gets very advanced and very complicated because there's a lot of money in it, obviously, because if you get a lot of links, your website will rank, your business will grow. And because of that, there's a lot of spam that's going on and a lot of people trying to game the system. But for now, this is it. Now, this is very inconclusive introduction. This is just meant to be a very short introduction because we just finished with the section of brand mentions and citations. So this is now the very next baby step is to very lightly start getting into link building.
In this video, I want to explain to you the difference between follow and no follow links. This is a Google only concept. It's important for when you are getting other websites to link to your site, and it's important for when your site links to other sites. But in this video, our main focus will be on when links are pointing to your site, because when you are link building, getting links to your site, you want follow links and you want to avoid the no follow links. No follow is a way to not pass the SEO benefits to your site. For us to understand the differences between the benefits of follow and no follow, we have to understand the SEO benefits of a link, and the way Google looks at pages, it sort of determines how much SEO strength each page has. And the strength, sometimes called link juice in the SEO industry, they use the term link juice. Every link that a page has gives out some link juice. If some website links to you, it gives you some link juice, which is the same thing as saying gives you some SEO strength or benefit. And a page's SEO strength is divided roughly among all its links. So if it has, like, let's say link juice of 100 and it has 5 links that it points to other places, each link has 1/5 of that. But the website owner has an option. He can say, I don't want to pass link juice to some link. And that's where they use the no follow. So if a link uses a no follow tag, then that link passes 0 SEO strength. So you need to make sure when you are link building that you are getting only follow links. Now let me actually show you how these look like. This is very basic HTML. Here's an example of a follow link. This is just a basic link. This is just the HTML for a link, nothing special. And the only difference for a no follow link is that it has this rel no follow tag. And sometimes the no follow tag is spelled with a space, sometimes it's without a space, doesn't matter. If it has this, according to Google, Google disregards this. Now, of course, as with anything, it's complicated when it comes to Google. The SEO industry has a consensus. Google still might pass some SEO link juice or strength, even if there is a no follow link, but they decide on their own. But for the most part, they listen to this no follow or follow, but they still retain the last word on it. So now I'll show you how to check whether links are follow or no follow, and I'll also show you how I manage this. So this is a very basic page on my site. Let's go through the links on it. I'm on Chrome, so what I'll do is I'll go to View, Developer, View Source. If you're on a different browser, you still need to navigate to the View Source, but it's relatively easy on all the browsers. This is the HTML of that page, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a Control F, which is just to search. And we're going to search for Amazon.com, which is the place where I link to my book on Amazon. So this is the place on my webpage where I have the backlink to Amazon. To show you how that looks like, I'm going to come to this page and I'm going to mouse over here, see business plan book on Amazon. And if I click this, it goes right to Amazon. This is that book. So it goes right there. That's that link. So we're editing this link. and you'll see that I have a rel no follow. That means I don't want to pass any SEO strength to that page, because why? I mean, Amazon has all the SEO strength. I don't want SEO strength leaving my website. Now, I'll show you another link. Same thing here, you see? Link to Amazon, it has a no follow. And the link is essentially from the beginning of the href tag to the end of the href tag. Now I'll show you another thing. Here is a link that is pointing to another page on my own website. See that problemio.com, and it has some page on it. Well, guess what? I did not put a no follow tag here because I want this link to be followed, and I want to pass strength throughout my own pages. So that's how you can go and check in any HTML page. You can go and check when they link to your site or sites like yours. And if you're considering getting a link from them, you've got to see, do they link with a follow link or a no follow? And if they do a follow link, it's much more worth pursuing. And in fact, you can ask the webmaster or whoever to make sure that they put your link as a follow and make sure they do not put it as a no follow.
In this video, I want to address the $1 million question of how long will it take me to rank? Almost everyone starting out in SEO or doing SEO asks this in the beginning and keeps on asking themselves all the time before they start to rank, because it's very stressful not to rank and putting a lot of work and the only thing sometimes people tell you is be patient, it takes a while, and it does take a while. Google is really brutal and harsh on new websites because they wait for the new websites to prove themselves. Because what if you're a spammer or a scammer? They don't want to show your website in search results. So they wait to collect some signals about your site, about the quality of your site. And there's many other factors in ranking. So there's no same answer for everyone, obviously. Different industries, different niches, different competition. But you have to trust in the system and execute, because the strategies are known. They are frustrating at times, but they are known, and the answer to how soon will you rank has direct correlation to how well you execute. For example, someone taking this course, they can go out and they can get 100 citations, and someone else in this course can get 2 citations and get frustrated and quit. Well, who do you think executed better? Who do you think is gonna rank faster? What about brand mention, social media? Again, people who do well on that, who stick with it, who consistently do it, they'll of course rank faster and they'll stay ranking. People who don't do it, people who get frustrated, they'll not going to get results, and they're going to think, well, it doesn't work. No, it does work. It's just that execution has to be there. So for you, please make sure that you execute and results will follow. Don't know when, but sooner than if you execute poorly. So make sure you get citations, brand mention, social media mentions and sharing, and backlinks. All those things, they will get your website to rank higher, and it will take maybe a few weeks to a month depending on keywords that you choose to rank for and your competition. For example, the easiest keyword usually it is to rank for is your company name or your brand name. That's usually the easiest, and you can start showing up in Google within a few days or a week or two. Now, if you choose some really difficult keywords, you might never rank. Like, let's say you try to rank for keywords like buy shoes. You have to compete with big sites like Zappos or Amazon. That's just too difficult. But if you have reasonable keywords, if you do the citations and brand mentions and links and social media mentions, all that, if you do all of that well, and you're not in a very competitive niche, it shouldn't take too long for you to start seeing some results, and the results can keep rising and rising. Maybe a month, maybe 2, but then you'll start seeing the SEO traffic and it will start growing and it will build up good momentum. And then you can target more keywords, you can become better with keywords as long as you do all this, and make sure that in addition to the citations and brand mentions and links in social media, you do the right things on your site, like using the right keywords on your pages that you want to rank for, and structuring your site the right way, and creating some content also so that your SEO strategy is balanced. It's not just you're trying to get citations for something that is low content, but your on-page SEO also helps you out a little bit. And we're going to start covering that very shortly, how to also align your on-page SEO to reinforce your citations and brand mentions and all that building. Now, let's take a brief moment to talk about your keywords. This is just an introduction lecture. We'll get into the advanced stuff really quickly in the upcoming lectures. But if you're a beginner, this is for you. Why are keywords important? It is precisely because when a person types something into Google, they're telling Google the exact time at which they want that exact thing. Okay? Imagine if you are doing some outreach. What is the chance that you're going to be reaching a person that wants whatever you're giving at exactly that time? Very little, right? Usually when people need something, it's much more the lead is much more powerful, right? So when they need something bad enough, they start searching. And that's why you want to get discovered. And the searching, the words they use denotes their intent. So if they search for something like moving company in New York, you know that they want to hire movers, right? They're ready to buy. Nobody searches this term unless they're like ready to buy, right? Or ready there, unless they need to be moving. And then of course, if you show up as number one in Google or in the first page, you will be likely to get hired and discovered, and you'll have you'll compete with the other companies who show up in the top 10, but at least you'll have a chance. And the companies that don't show up for that search don't get those customers. And for that reason, SEO, those keywords, you must identify what the keywords are that your potential customers are searching. Sometimes it's very obvious, like in the example of like moving company in New York. Of course, if you're a moving company, you want to rank for that. But sometimes it's less obvious, like how to move on your own. Does that, is that kind of a client potentially good? Because they might try to move on their own, but then they might fail, and then they might need a moving company. So there's some keywords that are like the bullseye. It's exactly lucrative keywords because they denote very direct intent that the person is ready to shop. Or there's sometimes like keywords that gray area. You don't know if they're going to shop, but it might not be a bad idea to get those customers. And of course, the most competitive keywords are the ones that are like this, super salesy ones, right? Like buy shoes. Oh my God, like. Of course, if you rank in the top 10 of Google for buy shoes, you're going to be a millionaire, right? A lot of people are searching that. But it's extremely difficult to rank for it. So there's always like, the lucrativeness of that search versus how difficult or easy it will be to rank for it. So there's a lot of considerations. But I think in this lecture, what I want you to, the takeaway that I want you to have is that the keywords denote intent. And you have to identify the intent, the keywords, that your potential customers will be searching when they are ready to buy, because that's when you really want to get discovered. That's when it makes a big difference, right? So think about what your customers are most searching. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to a very helpful and popular WordPress SEO plugin called the Yoast SEO. And I'll show you how to use it in a second, but obviously to use it, we first need to get it. To get it, you go under plugins and add new. This is in your WordPress dashboard. If you're not using WordPress, in case you're using a different tool to set up your website, you might have similar plugins or tools for whatever software you use. But I believe they have Yoast versions for other tools that help you create websites. So you also want to look for it even if you don't use WordPress. But in any case, WordPress does power over 50% of the websites online, so it's very common. So in any case, under plugins, add new, you would search here for Yoast SEO, and obviously you see I already searched for it. This is the plugin. In my case, I already have it installed. I'll actually go to my installed plugins and I'll deactivate it, and we'll look at how things look without it and then with it. So Yoast SEO, I'm going to click on deactivate. And then after that, if I look at any posts, like I click on all posts, I can click on edit any post. This post is about Leonard Cohen's song, Who by Fire. When I scroll to the bottom, you see there's not much I can do to add a post. If I want to make a new post, like posts, add new, and this is how you fill it out. You see, it's a little confusing. Where do you add the meta title and meta description, and how do you manage those? So Yoast makes that very easy, and it makes other things very easy as well. So let's actually go and install Yoast. In your case, what you would do is obviously go to plugins, add new, and install, and then activate. I already have it installed, so I'll go to installed plugins, and I'll just click on activate right here, activate. Once it's activated, it just takes a second to activate. I'll go to my posts, and when I go to add new, what you'll see is, in addition to the post, I have this little box appearing. And this box is the Yoast SEO. That's what it does. And so you'll tell it the keyword phrase you want to rank for, like maybe I want to rank for the word music because my blog is about music. It will help you track all your own page SEO elements to see whether you're actually doing the SEO correctly in order to help you rank for that keyword. So that's how to get the plugin. Once you have the plugin, let's actually look at a real blog post of mine. We're going to examine this blog post. It's on my music blog. It's songs with imagery. It's a blog post that's ranking well. Let me show you a little bit more information about it. I relatively recently created this post, and this post is growing in its SEO traffic. This is my Google Search Console. If I isolate this page, you see this is the URL, touchedbyasong.com, songs with imagery. And you see the traffic has started to go up, 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 up. I'm just showing you this so that you know we're looking at a page that has good SEO, which is actually growing. In addition to that, you can see that if I search for songs with imagery, this page is climbing the search results because it's 1, 2, 3, 4th search result for that keyword. And if we click on the blog post, you'll basically see that it's a collection of songs with imagery. Some of them are my songs. Some of them are other songs by other artists. It's actually a blog post that I enjoyed making because it's songs that I felt had very, very good imagery and were very interesting songs. So now that you understand what this blog post is, let's look at the role of Yoast SEO in it. This is the view inside my WordPress. That's the blog post. And when we scroll down, you see I have Yoast installed here. And what Yoast does for us is it creates this little box at the bottom of the article so we can edit it. The main benefits of Yoast is people enter a focus phrase. For example, in my case here, it will be songs with imagery. And you might notice that I actually didn't even have this filled out for this blog post. Why not? Because after a while, you can do all these things manually, not worse than Yoast SEO does for you, because people really hype up Yoast SEO. It's a very popular, good plugin, but it doesn't do anything particularly extraordinary that a intermediate SEO marketer can't do. So my goal for you in this course is actually to learn all these SEO skills so that you wouldn't need this tool. This tool is really just for beginners, in my opinion. And sure, it has some paid features, but most people just want the free Yoast SEO, and the free, you'll generally be able to do all the things it does for you for free on your own after a while. But in any case, let's actually work with this. So the focus phrase is the first thing. And once you set your focus phrase, you see, you can go down to this SEO analysis, click this little arrow, and then it will tell you what you're doing right with your keyword analysis. And the keyword is presumably the main keyword you're trying to rank for. So if this is the main keyword you're trying to rank for, Yoast is going to tell you, for example, there's some things I'm not doing right. SEO title width. We can actually look at that. So the title is a little bit too long because that's my SEO title. That's the meta title for this page. By the way, this is the meta description, and the slug is basically the URL. So if I go to this page, the slug is right here, songs with imagery. It's basically the URL after the actual domain. So if we look at this songs with imagery, you see it contains my keyword, which you can actually control here. This is really good to do before you make the post public, because once you made your post public, you don't want to change the URL too much because that messes with how Google indexes your page. It's not terrible to change your URL, but you generally don't want to do that. So this is something you set before you publish your post. And so here, for example, it says I made a little error with this SEO title. It says that the SEO title is wider than the viewable limit. I used to like it when before, in previous versions, Yoast SEO used to have a little counter, like if I add characters, it would count the characters right away. But here it just tells me how it would appear in search results, because you see if I add characters, it adds characters on top here. And so on mobile, it looks like it's just short enough, but we can check the length. I can actually check it in any word editor. So I pasted it into my word editor, and I'll just go to tools, word count, and it tells me that I am 68 characters in, which is under the limit of 70, which actually I'm good. But just to make it happy, what I could do is say, instead of beautiful song lyrics that inspire, I could do something like just put inspiring songs. So now Yoast would be happy. Inspiring songs with beautiful song lyrics. I think that's actually cleaner, shorter, and actually inspiring songs becomes a keyword. That's a good idea. So I will actually save that. And right away you see that Yoast SEO is happy about that one issue and is complaining about these other issues. The other issue is my key phrase or its synonyms don't appear in the first paragraph, meaning high up on the page where the weight of the keywords is a little bit higher weighted, this keyword doesn't appear. Okay, good idea, Yoast. So I'll do that. So instead of saying what I say now, which is inspired by Johannes Vermeer painting Girl with a Pearl Earring, this song is a male and female duet that finally brings the girl with a pearl earring to life. So I can add maybe one more sentence here and add something that contains my main keyword, which is songs with imagery. So I can say something in the beginning like, this is one of the most vivid examples of songs with imagery because it was inspired by Johannes Vermeer painting the girl with the pearl earring, which is essentially one of the greatest images in all of history. This painting with this woman. If you're not familiar with this painting, I recommend you actually Google it. Well, we'll do it together. It's this painting, and what makes it so amazing is that this woman has so many emotions, but you can't tell what they are. Is she turning towards you? Is she turning away? Is she happy? Is she sad? But she's very mesmerizing. It's one of those paintings that you just can't forget after you see it. And so because it's so mesmerizing, people remember it. And so I thought I'd write a song about it. And so that's the whole idea of the song. I kind of riff on the idea of how mysterious and interesting this painting is in the song and kind of make this woman come alive in the lyrics of the song. So because of that, this phrase makes sense. Because now I say this is one of the most vivid examples of songs with imagery. Let's dress it up a little bit. The song makes the image in the painting come alive. So now you see I'm not just adding keywords like spamming for SEO, but I'm actually making the blog post more interesting. And now I'll update it. So now Yoast should be happy. So you see, these are good suggestions from Yoast. And that's essentially it, because there are many other features in Yoast SEO, but they're premium, like premium SEO analysis. Well, that's paid. Add keyword phrases. Well, they want you to get the premium version. And then, track SEO performance. You need to do something else with this, connect with Wincher, which we're not going to do. Insights, they want you to pay, right? So the free options are basically, they check whether you're legitimately targeting the keyword you told it you're targeting, and they're going to basically keep you on track, just like I kind of showed the suggestions that they make, and then you just follow the suggestions that they make. But in any case, that's Yoast SEO, how to get it, and how to ideally use it. In this video, I want to go over in a little more detail on the SEO title and the meta description. These are meta tags. They are not seen on your actual page, but this is what Google pulls to show on your search result. So just to make sure you 100% understand, this is a title meta tag and this is a title description. When I click on the actual page, those meta descriptions are absolutely not seen. This is a title that you set somewhere else in the title of your actual blog post. When you create your blog post, this is the title that's seen on the page when people actually land on your page. But if you scroll down all the way to the Yoast plugin area, and your Yoast might look a little different. Mine is a little outdated. I haven't updated it. But this SEO meta tag and the meta description you can fill out here, and just make sure you contain your most important keywords. They give you the character limit, so it's a good guidance. Don't stuff the keyword. Don't repeat it more than like 2 times. There's no reason to have a keyword 3 times unless it's part of a long tail keyword. But just in case you're not using WordPress, obviously then you won't be able to use Yoast. I'll quickly show you how the HTML for this looks like. I'm on the Google Chrome browser. On the Google Chrome, I can right click and look at view page source. And what I'll do is I'll just search for title, and it's inside your header HTML tag. So if you're editing the HTML by hand, you want to make sure that your title meta tag is filled out with the keywords you want. And right here also you see the description, meta. See that meta description? That's your meta tag if you're doing it manually. If you're using WordPress, you just enter it in those nice fields like I showed you a few seconds ago, and you're fine. You don't have to edit the HTML. But if you are editing the HTML by hand, or if you're using another HTML editor like Wix or something else, then because I can't show you the example for every single CMS, this is essentially where the title and description are in your HTML. So if you can edit the HTML, just make sure that this is set. And if you have a developer editing it, just make sure you instruct the developer that the meta title is set and the meta description is set. And by the way, these are unique for every single page. Every single page on your website will have unique keywords it's targeting. Some pages do not target keyword, like the contact us page, it's less important or about. But if you have a page for which you're actually trying to get unique traffic and to rank for some keywords, then this has to be unique per page on your site for best results. So that's how to set the title and description meta tags for your on-page SEO. In this video, let's write a really amazing title meta tag and description meta tag to outcompete our competition. So let's use an example of like novelty t-shirts with cats, okay, or cat t-shirts. So what we'll look at is these pictures. They look like Google images, but they're actually ads. So we're going to scroll past the ads. This is an ad. The first item is Zazzle. Now there's going to be 2 kinds of results that we're concerned with. Zazzle is a marketplace. Amazon, which is next, is a marketplace. Etsy is a marketplace. They'll have essentially generic auto-generated title and description meta tags because that's what their algorithm does. Let's read it together. It usually doesn't sound that great. So let's say Zazzle, finding cat t-shirts and shirts Zazzle. Okay, this is auto-generated. Whatever the search is, that's what's coming up. Maybe this is the directory, finding cat t-shirts. But it's nothing special. It's just what we searched. Now let's see what the description is like. Upgrade your style, not bad, with finding cat t-shirts with Zazzle. Browse through different shirt styles and colors. Search for your favorite t-shirts today. Okay, the rest of it was okay, nothing amazing. Now the one from Amazon, let's take a look at that. Finding cat t-shirts by some brand, homepage Amazon. This is bland, right? It's descriptive, but it's not exciting or interesting. The description will read like best cat dead ever, funny cat, lover, gaffed, best cat dead. This is not humanly comprehensible. This is just stuffing keywords. Look how many times cat, 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 cat. Amazon can do whatever they want. So they keyword stuffed it. Anyway, now the next is like Etsy, local results, whatever, it doesn't matter. Now Redbubble, that's also a marketplace. So we're not going to take a look at another one because we've seen enough. Now this other one, crazy dog shirts. Okay, this looks like they specialize in this stuff, right? Their stuff should be more interesting, right? Let's read theirs, and then let's make one that's way better. Funny cat shirts, kitty tees, cat mom shirt. Okay, what they're good at is they've got some unique keywords that I could borrow potentially. Funny cat shirts, okay, that's nothing unique there, but kitty tees, yeah, kitty tees. For sure, Amazon, Etsy's, the auto-generated stuff, they're not using kitty. That's a human being creative, great. Cat mom shirt, awesome. If I was doing this SEO at the moment, and not filming, I would literally take a piece of paper and write down kitty and cat mom. This is great. Or even this spurs a lot of ideas like cat lady shirts. Amazing. So this literally would go into my set of keywords too. These are great keywords because they are non-competitive. All the Amazons probably don't target that. So let's say this is pretty good. So let's quickly read the description and then make a better one. Their description says, do you know someone who needs a crazy cat lady shirt? Our hilarious kitty shirts are a perfect way to say meow. Okay, this is very nice. Like, there's a human touch here because you know that these people, they're probably cat lovers too, because, you know, they talk in this cat meow language, which is, you know, endearing in a way. Men, and then they go on, men's and women's kitten clothes and whatever, blah. Then it cuts off. They use some keywords like funny shirt. Okay, now let's do better than them. And I'll show you my cat t-shirt. So I have a Shopify store with my own cat t-shirt, and it looks like this. I think pretty cute design. Anyway, so that's the shirt. So let's go into my Shopify and let's blow all the other titles and descriptions out of the water. And in two ways. First, we have to have an abundant amount of keywords. And two, it must be compelling to actual people, actual humans who see this, right? So we need to accomplish these two things with not very many characters that we're allowed. So let's get into Shopify backend. This is my Shopify backend. You see under products on the left, I clicked all products, and then I clicked on this particular shirt. And this is the title that you would see on the page. This is the description you would see on the page. Now, when you scroll down below all the product listings and colors, you'll have your search engine listing preview and all the things you would write in here. Kind of similar to how you would do it in WordPress. So we have 70 characters for the title, very little. We have 140 characters for the description. They say here 320, but that's for a technical reason. For SEO specifically, 140 is what we aim at. So let's look at our title. Wave if you like cats, t-shirt. Here, we're doing branding with the first word. Cat t-shirt, that's our SEO. Nothing special there. Now with the word funny, this is us targeting longer tail keywords. Funny t-shirt, novelty t-shirt, gifts, social t-shirts. And, you know, just for good measure, I put t-shirt here twice just in case. So this title is not incredibly attractive to a human, but it's really nice for a search engine because I got all these keywords. Funny t-shirt, novelty t-shirt, gifts t-shirt, you know, great. If I wasn't so keyword greedy, maybe I would take out one or two and I would replace it with something like great for the cat lover in your life or something like that. But here I have keyword greed happening at the moment. But I have a chance to redeem myself with the description. So let's look at how I wrote the description. Have more magic in your day with this novelty funny cat t-shirt. So people who love cats wave to you, period. Perfect gift for cat owners, lovers. If I had more space, this is exactly where I would say perfect gift for cat ladies and cat moms. Probably cat lovers is not good here. Like cat lover, I think it's kind of a weird phrasing. So maybe we can swap some other keywords. For example, if we get rid of lovers, we can maybe add cat ladies, cat owners, and cat moms. And we fit perfectly into 140 characters. So we would save that. So look at this. Have more magic moments in your day. Now that's the type of writing that inspires. If somebody can picture themselves having more magic moments in their day and really see it and have this particular copywriting spur those thoughts and that imagination, that's amazing, right? That's better than those other descriptions. And it really is clear in English, right? So if we read have more magic in your day with this novelty funny cat t-shirt, so people who love cats wave to you, it's clear what this thing is supposed to accomplish for them. And there's an abundance of keywords, right? Novelty t-shirts, funny t-shirts, perfect gift for cat owners, cat moms. I have more keywords than all of them, except for when we saw Amazon completely spam their descriptions. But that was just terrible because it was humanly incomprehensible. But of all the humanly comprehensible ones, this is best because it's inspiring, next level copywriting that spurs imagination, and it's got a lot of keywords. Clap, clap, clap to me. And for you, try to do something like this where you achieve a perfect balance, or maybe an imperfect balance, but good enough balance or a nice balance of being attractive to potential shoppers and having an abundance of keywords. And whichever keywords you have left over, those keywords can go in your product descriptions so they're not lost. In this video, let's begin using one of the most important tools that Google provides. It's the Google Search Console. This is where you'll be able to track the rankings of every one of your pages for different keywords and do many other helpful SEO tasks. In fact, this tool you should be using regularly. So to go to this tool, you go to search.google.com/search-console welcome. We'll go there together. It takes you to this screen. If you already have a domain registered, all you have to do is enter this domain and click continue. If you're new to this tool, you'll enter a new website. I'll do that with you here. So I entered a new URL. Obviously, this is a made-up URL. This website doesn't exist. And for almost all cases, when you have a new website, you would choose the domain option, not the URL prefix. So you enter a website and you click continue. It's going to show you a screen like this. Now, to verify that you own your domain, there are two ways to do it. The first way is the simplest and one that I did myself and the one that I recommend to you. All I did was simply email support@myhosting.com and ask them to upload this text to my website. In 5 minutes, they did that. Then I was able to click verify and I was done. If you want to do it yourself, here's how to do it. Although I will tell you, it is technical. It is beyond SEO. It has to do more with like website hosting and technical things like that. Even I get a little confused with these things because we're going to get to things that have to do with website administration. Now, to do it, Google will provide you instructions for your kind of hosting. So for example, whatever URL you'll enter, they'll give you options for verifying your DNS, and you choose your options. For example, like let's say mine was name.com, and you'll say start verification. You'll log in to whatever your hosting is. The problem is everybody's hosting is different, so I can't really show you the example that's going to look the same for you. But after you would log in, you would add that text that Google gave you to your domain. You see, if you find this confusing, and yes, it is confusing, I recommend you click on full details. Google provides an official video for how to do this and documentation. There are two spots in this video that are interesting and worth paying extra attention to. On second number 47, Google walks you through the part where you choose your hosting and how to do it with your hosting. And on minute 2, they'll show you if you can't find the instructions there, there's other instructions, you see, for all kinds of hosting. In this video, it's a little confusing how to get there. So to make it simple, all you would do from here is just scroll down and you got two sets of instructions. You got instructions for CNAME record instructions and text record instructions. When you click either of these, you'll see that it expands and you'll find this option for G Suite documentation for your provider, meaning that whatever service provider you have for your hosting, Google will have the instructions for that. Obviously, they don't have every hosting provider in the world, but they have many of the major ones. And so you will go through the steps here. Again, I recommend, because this may be too technical, to email your support. They'll do it for you. That's what they're there for these kinds of things. If you don't email your support, simply find the hosting provider that is yours and go through the steps Google provides you, because this is the official documentation. Once you have uploaded this little text to your website, you can click verify. According to Google, with some hosting providers, it might take a few hours to get verified. In my case, this was immediate. So whenever you're ready, you just click verify. And again, because this is technical, if at any point you get confused, email your hosting support. They'll get you through this step. Once you've uploaded it, you click verify. They'll verify that you do own that site. The whole point of this is that Google can verify that you have control over that website, that it's yours. Once you verified, on the very same screen, let's say you want to go to your verified website. Here's what you do. You enter the website. This is my website, Wave if you like. It's a t-shirt store. You click continue, checking verification, ownership is verified, and you go to property. This is what the inside of my Google Search Console looks like. This is a very new site. So you see, I myself only added this website a few weeks ago. So they tell me a little bit about the traffic. They have all these other options. We'll explore all these other options in the upcoming videos. But in this video, I just wanted to show you how to register here. And during this process, you have to be logged in with your Gmail. If you already have a Gmail account and you're logged into your browser with that Gmail account, you're fine. If you don't have a Gmail account, you'll have to make one because all of Google's services use your Gmail account. You can see here on the top right, I'm logged in as me into Google. And we'll be using this tool throughout the course, and you should be using this tool for your own website throughout the lifetime of your website. So please go ahead and register for this tool because it's going to be extremely useful for you. It's also 100% free. Now let's talk about sitemaps for SEO, the Google crawler, page indexing, and what all this has to do with SEO and how we can make sure all this works perfectly for you with no bugs using the Google Search Console. And for that, we have to understand how the Google mechanism works. Google has this software. It's called the Google Bot. What the Google Bot does, it goes through every website. This is my website, for example. So what the Google Bot would do is it will come to my website and it will download everything from here. And it would look at the source of this page. I'm on Chrome, so if I go view page source, you'll see all the HTML and CSS that there is. And what the Google Bot does, it looks at all the links, all the instances of links. For example, here I searched for HTTPS and there's like 91 links. Some are commented out, as you can see, some are for some Google services, but some are to my other pages. And so the Google Bot collects all the links to all the pages, and then it goes to those pages next and does the same process over and over again until it crawls all your pages. Now, what happens if you have a page which isn't linked from any of your other pages? The Google Bot might never find it. So for that reason, we have sitemaps to help us understand what are all the pages that are crawlable, meaning Google can identify those pages. If you have Yoast SEO for WordPress, that software can create a sitemap for you. If you don't have that, you can go to xml-sitemaps.com. It's a free website, and you can put in your website. If it's under 500 pages, you'll get a free sitemap. And if it's over 500 pages, you will have to pay, but it's a minimal cost. There's something like $3.49 a month, and you really just have to do it once. So it's like a couple of dollars really only. You don't have to do this way, but it's a relative standard. And then once you get a sitemap, either from the Yoast SEO WordPress plugin or from this site, and it's not something you would write manually, you would have it created for you, then you would go to your Google Search Console and you would add it there. Here I am in the Google Search Console. You see on the left side, we have a tab, Sitemaps, and you can see that I have a sitemap and it's telling me how many URLs there are discovered, 119. Now, how do you know if you have some broken links in your site? If you have broken links on your site, this tool will sometimes tell you about it, but you can also use another tool, brokenlinkcheck.com. If you enter a website, it will crawl it and it will tell you what are your broken links, and then you would go in and you fix those links. Usually there's probably like a typo error or something like that, but one simple typo error can make some of your pages not crawlable and break some of your links and damage your SEO. So this is a really easy way to fix your SEO problems that should never be there in the first place, but sometimes they creep in, especially if you have a relatively older site. After a lot of changes, every once in a while, just little bugs happen, and this is a really good way to identify those bugs. Now, do you need an XML sitemap? Not really. As far back as 2019, Google came out with some news saying, they don't really look at your sitemap. They have their own tools. They have their own ways. But it's still a good practice to create it because you create it once in a while, and you just want to test. Let's say you have 300 pages on your site. You want to see, are all 300 crawlable? If not, then why not? You have to start debugging, maybe with this tool, maybe with the Google Search Console, so that you can see what are the problems. Because if your pages are not crawlable, they're certainly not going to go into the Google database, and they're not going to get indexed by Google, and they're only going to rank if they're crawlable and if they get indexed, and only then Google decides if they're going to rank your pages. So sometimes they don't rank your pages because they're either not crawlable or maybe there's some broken links or something like that. So this is an easy thing to solve with these methods. In this video, I want to show you how to troubleshoot in case that not all your pages are interlinked or not all your pages are crawled. What's going on? You go to brokenlinkcheck.com. It's a free tool, and you put your website right in here. You enter the security code, all that. It's free, and then you run the report. It's going to crawl your site, and it's going to show you all the links that were broken. In my site is a few years old. I've accumulated some links that don't work anymore, or I've changed address and things like that. So I'll make it a little bigger so you can see my report, and you'll see that I have some of the errors repeating, and if I scroll down, some different pages have some problems. And I actually went and I was like, wow, so many little problems or links you see to other pages and sites that aren't even mine that I used to link to, but then they've changed or moved. And then I went in and I changed these errors. First, that's immediately going to help your SEO because your website's going to have less errors. But second, it might give you a clue if you think, why is some page not being crawled? Maybe the link is broken to it. And this is the simplest way. Within a minute or two, you'll be able to know if you have any broken links or broken URLs within your site. Try it now. That's the first troubleshooting step in case that not all your pages on your site are being crawled. If ever there's a situation where you create a new page or an entire website and it's just not coming up in search, or it's not coming up in search as high as you want, or things aren't changing, and I don't mean like if you just created your page and then you wanted to rank in 30 minutes or an hour or one day, that's too early. The instance I'm talking about is when your page is maybe live for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and it's just not showing up anywhere in Google search. This is where you have to be proactive and start debugging, like, why is my page not ranking in Google? And the URL inspection is the first place you go to see, is it even indexed? And if it's not, then you start looking into why not, etc. What you can do is use URL inspection right here on the left side of the Google Search Console. You can click this URL inspection, or you can actually inspect URL from here. So that's actually what I do. I literally just paste any URL that I want. And this is a real URL that I made a couple of days ago, I think maybe a week ago now, and it's really not coming up as I wanted it. So this is a real example. So I'm going to actually click on it, and Google is going to tell me what it knows about this page. First of all, it says URL is on Google. In case this URL is not on Google, you should do two things. The first thing is, first of all, request indexing. You see this little link here? Right away, ask Google to request indexing. That's actually going to help Google find this page and begin crawling it and indexing it. Great. But you need to solve this problem so it doesn't happen again. So the very likely reason this URL wasn't on Google was likely because it wasn't crawlable for some reason. Some of the reasons may be that it's not linked anywhere on your site. That makes it easy for Google to go to your home page, then it links to some other pages, and some other pages. Somehow, from page to page to page on your site, Google must navigate to the new page. If that new page isn't linked to from anywhere, that is itself linkable from somewhere else, and ultimately reachable from the home page, then very likely it's going to be hard for Google to find. And even if Google does find it, it's going to think, oh, this page is so far down on this website, it's not so important, I'm not going to rank it. So definitely help Google find all your pages by linking to them. One of the ways you can do that is by creating and submitting a sitemap and making sure that when you create a sitemap, open that file and check, is that URL in there? You can open that XML file with any word editor or any code editor. And you just do like Control F search for that URL. If the URL is there, great. If not, well, that's a problem. It's not getting linked to So the crawlers aren't finding it. Another but less common reason why your page may not be getting crawled is because it may be in a directory that your robots.txt file says not to crawl. That's kind of rare, but if you have a complex big site, who knows who edited your robots.txt file, you might want to check what's in there. But in any case, once you request indexing, there is no guarantee that Google is going to immediately overnight rank it where you want it to rank. But this is essentially the best thing you can do. And whenever I create a new page, I could just wait for Google to find it. And I'm sure it takes it just minutes. But that's an assumption. If I come here and whenever I publish a new page, I submit it manually, I literally do that. That guarantees that at least Google is going to know about it. And also, if there are any problems with the page, sometimes Google might make suggestions. They might tell you what's wrong. Here, you'll see that I have page indexed, a video on it is indexed, and you can click on these little arrows and expand them and see more information about it. Like, let's say it says it's not mobile friendly, then you can look into that. And if there are some major problems, that could also contribute to your page not ranking. But generally speaking, this is the place you go to debug anything. If you make any future update to that page, don't wait for Google to crawl it. Come here, request indexing. So that's the URL inspection tool. It's really, really helpful. I recommend using it proactively. In this video, let's look at what's arguably the most fun part of the Google Search Console, and that is monitoring your page ranking performance. And we get a glimpse of that here in the dashboard when we log in, and we can also click on it here. So let's click on performance, and what you'll see is that you can track performance in many ways. Like, for example, when you scroll down a little bit, you can track by the top queries, that's the top searches you rank for, or the top pages that are ranking for you. These are your high performing pages. Then the countries you're popular in. So let's say you want to promote your product in some country, you want to look through that, or maybe you're targeting devices like mobile or not mobile. And there are a few other things you can explore, but the most popular are the queries and pages. So let's look at those. Let's start with pages. For example, let's say I have this business pitch page. It's just a blog post. And you see when I clicked on this page, now we're just examining the ranking and traffic to that page alone. And we can see some data about it, like how many clicks we got, that's how many visitors, out of how many impressions, what's our click-through rate, what's our average search position, and we can actually slice and dice this data however we like. But that's just the beginning, because we can also look at the queries, the popular queries for this keyword. For example, like business pitch example, you see on the right here, you can see the breakdown. We got 140 clicks, we got the most impressions on this, and we have a reasonably okay position in Google. Although, as you can see, we have room to improve because we are ranking an average of number 6 or 7. In Google search, we want to be number 1. So right away, what you can do is look at your highest priority pages, whatever they may be for you, and then look at the queries for them for which you're ranking. And then, of course, you know what to do to rank higher. Share it a little bit more on social media to get a little social media exposure and activity. Build a few internal links to that page. Speed up that page. Maybe add a little bit more content, like a section that's talking about specifically business pitch example, because that's the query that we want to rank higher for. You can also build 1 or 2 external links to that page with that anchor text. And once you do these things, you kind of leave the page, let Google process the new information, re-rank everything, and come back to it in like 2 weeks or a month and see is anything different. Hopefully this chart is starting to show signs of going up and to the right, improvement. If not, maybe you give it another month, and if really nothing's happening, then maybe you create another set of updates and you keep doing that until you start ranking higher. If you're ultimately not ranking higher, you want to look at the actual content you're creating, reread the whole page. Is it good? Is it good for users? Is it logically structured? Get feedback on it. Find something that's not right with the page that you can then go and fix, so that hopefully that error that's holding you back will stop holding you back and you will achieve higher rankings. But essentially, this performance tab is where you get tremendous insight on every page and how every page of yours ranks for every keyword, which is really, really, really useful and actually really fun to explore. With this video, I want to begin the section of our course which is going to focus on Google Analytics, which is very important to monitor the behavior of users on your website so you can know what they're doing. And we're specifically going to focus on Google Analytics 4, which is the latest and greatest analytics package from Google. But before we get into it, we have to understand the history of Google Analytics to understand why the current version is as it is, because the current version is a little complicated. You see, Google has offered analytics approximately since 2005 when it bought this company called Urchin Software. That's the software that became known as Google Analytics. And so shortly after that, around 2005, 2006, Google Analytics was free and available for everyone. That old original Google Analytics was pretty easy to use. It was intuitive and it was very useful for website owners, especially for SEO purposes, and especially if you used the Google Search Console. The Google Search Console is more about how your website is doing in terms of ranking in Google and click through from the search results page. And the analytics, of course, is more about what people are doing once they land on your page. So in conjunction together, these two tools from Google that are free are really, really useful. And this is all great. But in July 2023, Google revamped their old analytics to what they now call Google Analytics 4, short is GA4. So let's discuss why this change happened. You see, the web has really evolved since the original Google Analytics. Customer journeys are way more complex now because people are going from apps to the desktop, to the mobile device, to a mobile browser. There are many devices, screens, and browsers that are actually a part of one essentially user session. So your analytics can't just track your website anymore. It has to track all of your web properties and how your users navigate through them. Not everybody has multiple properties, but if you do, you need an analytics package that helps you with that. So the customer journey complexity is one reason we need a new approach to analytics. The other approach to analytics is privacy laws. There are new laws that prevent certain ways of collection of information that websites have. So Google had to work around that. Now, when the user doesn't allow Google to collect certain information, Google has to rely on predicting certain information and filling in the information gaps using artificial intelligence. And another big change in Google Analytics 4 is that it's much easier to integrate and track how your ads are doing. Of course, this course is mostly focused on free traffic, so we're not going to dive into that, but certainly we need Google Analytics to monitor what users are doing on your website. For every website owner, that's priority one, answering the question, what are users actually doing when they come to my website? Because without analytics, you have no idea, and you can't make future decisions about changes to your website or anything else without having this information. So we definitely need to know what users are doing. And that's why in this section, we're going to focus on Google Analytics 4. So with that, let's begin. With this video, let's start diving into Google Analytics 4 a little bit more and start to understand the major ways in how it works and how it's actually new and different. The most fundamental difference in the user experience of Google Analytics 4 versus the previous versions is that Google Analytics 4 tracks things in a so-called event-based way instead of the older analytics session-based way. You see, in the past, a session was just a session. Like a user came to your website, they clicked around, they did whatever they did, and that was all under one session. It was very logical. But the problem is that different businesses have such different user journeys and the sessions are of such different natures. Like some website visitors buy something, some other website visitors just read content, some other website visitors watch videos and interact in a different way. So the one-size-fits-all model is just not good enough anymore. And really, it always had some problems precisely because it was one-size-fits-all. The new model, which is event-based, allows you to create specific events that are relevant for your situation. It still has some basic events like visits and things like that. But for more complex situations, it allows you to customize different events that are important for your unique situation. So what you get is a customizable interface that, in addition to data like website visits, allows you to create your own custom traffic reports. And something that's interesting for ads is predictive analytics, which is the idea that Google Analytics 4 uses machine learning algorithms to predict future user behavior. So if you're running ads, for example, it's going to help you understand what kind of users to target. Now, we're not delving too much into ads, but it's certainly an advantage of GA4 because this can help you discover just more users who will do the thing that you need them to do in the coming days and weeks and months. And lastly, I want to mention data streams, which is essentially your ability to pass data from apps to different websites to secondary websites, granted that they're yours, all under one property you're tracking. So with all these introductions, I wanted to give you an easy way to start understanding the reasoning behind Google Analytics 4. And now that we've built a little bit of a background and understanding, with the next videos, let's begin setting it up and using it. With this video, let's begin setting up a completely fresh new install of Google Analytics 4. I made a brand new Gmail for this just so I can do this with you from absolute scratch. Now, to get started, you go to analytics.google.com and you'll be shown this page. You'll essentially just click Start Measuring, and it's going to begin taking you through the steps. As you'll see, there are 5 steps here on the top. So the first thing you'll fill out is your account name, and you would give it any account name, a general account name. So in my case, it would be like My Analytics, Alex Analytics. Of course, if you have a business, it would be something related to your business. Then they give you some check marks to fill out, data sharing settings, and you would just check whichever options apply to you, like technical support. Like, do you want to let Google technical support representatives access your Google Analytics data and account when necessary to provide service? There's a solution, sure. But of course, if you don't, then uncheck that. In my case, I'll just do what they suggest and leave it as default. So I'll click Next. Now the property details, this is essentially the project that you want to measure. Remember that it's not just a single website anymore, because sometimes you might have a website, but then it's related to an app or an additional website. And in my case, I have kind of a t-shirt store that I kind of stopped promoting really, so I'm just going to use that. And it's waveissuelike.com. So I'll do that and click Next. You just want to browse it a little bit here, reporting time zone, make sure it fits the time zone you're in, currency in case you're selling anything. And once this is all accurate for you, you'll click Next. Business details, whatever your business is, that's what you fill out. Under the industry category, I chose shopping and I chose a small business option. Then you click Next. Then you choose what your business objectives are. In my case, I want to generate leads and drive online sales. I may want to raise brand awareness, examine user behavior, sure. Or if you just want to get the baseline reports, like the basics, the common information, then you just click that and it unchecks everything else. So whatever makes sense for you, that's what you choose. But for now, I'll just choose the baseline reports and I'll click Create. Then it's going to ask you to accept their terms of service. Sure, I accept. Then it's going to ask you where your data is going to come from. In most people's cases, it's going to be the web, some kind of a website. Fewer people have apps like iOS apps or Android apps, so I'm going to choose the web. Then it's going to ask for the website URL. So I'll fill out the website URL with the actual website URL and a stream name, waveissuelike website. And I'll click on Create Stream. And you'll see that it's going to show you what it's going to measure: page views, scrolls, outbound clicks, and site search if you have that, video engagement if you have videos, file downloads if you offer that, and even form collections if you have that. Not everybody has everything, but certainly page views and scrolls and outbound clicks are certainly common among most websites. So with that, let's click on Create Stream. Very good. Now you want to save all this information. It's going to give you all your tag instructions. You will notice 2 things. It's going to give you a lot of information, like this is your tag ID. It's very important. Keep that. You'll also have different places where you can always copy that from, but certainly save it just for it to be handy. And you'll also notice that on top here, you can install with a website builder or CMS like WordPress, or you can click here to install manually. Because if you, let's say, just have a HTML website where you edit the code manually, or a PHP based website where you literally just write the HTML manually, or some software creates the website for you, but it's not like WordPress based, then this is the way to go. You just copy this tag, highlight all this, copy right here, and then you can paste that into the header tag of your pages. But your life is easier if you use some CMS like WordPress, because then you install a Google Analytics plugin into WordPress, and when you set up the Google Analytics plugin, it's going to ask you for your tag ID. You give it that, any other information. For example, you see that tag ID is right here, measurement ID. If you ever need to come back and view the instructions for installation, it's all right here. So whichever way you use to install your Google Analytics, you'll have the very next instructions here. So just follow the instructions, and after that, you'll be able to use Google Analytics 4. So now that we've set up our test website here, Wave If You Like, you can see there are some problems. It says can't find data streams. You may be wondering what are data streams. We'll get to that in a second. And it says please set up a stream to start collecting data from this property. Okay, great. So to manage a property is like an app or a website, you can always go to the bottom left, that little gear right here, admin. Now on the admin panel, it can get very confusing because there are so many options right away. But on the left side, the leftmost column, this is everything account level. Like, let's say if you're a small business, you probably just only have one account. But let's say you're an agency, then you manage multiple clients' accounts. And so this will be multiple items. So let's say client 1 is account 1 and client 2 is account 2. But if you just have your own small business, really you're just all under your own account. And so then your website, like here, the website Wave If You Like, that's a property under my business. And the property, you can do all kinds of things with it. For example, you can add data streams. That's where data is coming from, basically connecting that website to Google Analytics. Or you can have data settings. For example, if I click data settings and data retention, for example, well, it says data retention is 2 months. Well, what if you want to take a look at a year backwards, right? Like in the future, you're going to want to compare your data many months over. You're going to want to have year-over-year statistics. So like you want to say 14 months and save that, right? So all these options have a slight role. And whenever you want to back out of an option, you just click this back arrow here. And you can basically do a lot of managing of different parts of your property. Like for example, you can click on property access management, and then you can choose users, you can add users, give somebody permissions, things like this. For now, you want to set up data streams, and this is a website. So we're going to click on the web, and we're just going to enter our website here. And so I see I typed HTTPS and then waveifyoulike.com. And then on the stream name, I gave it Wave If You Like website, just a name that's recognizable. Then it shows you what it's going to collect: page views, scrolls, outbound clicks, site search, etc., video engagement, file downloads, form interaction. Those are the basic reports that you're going to have. And then you will say create stream. After you've created stream, you want to note your measurement ID, because these are items you have to put into your website so that your website starts sending this data to Google. And if you scroll down a little bit at the bottom, you'll see view tag instructions. If you click this, you will see instructions for different CMS like Drupal, Wix. I'm going to be showing you how to set this up both manually and in WordPress. Manually is actually easy, because when you go install manually, they give you this code, this little script. You just copy that, and then you just paste that into the header section of your HTML. So the way you would do that is after you've copied this code, let's say you have a straight HTML website. So this is the HTML of my website of one page, for example. And the way HTML works is a page is separated into two parts. The header part, which you see here, header, it's called head. And if I scroll down a lot, you see head closes because there's this little / and that signifies the closing of the head. So what I would do is actually, I would in the head, just about anywhere, paste that code that I got from Google Analytics 4. And you want to be careful to paste that before the closing tag of the header. This is where all the configuration, the CSS goes, or at least mostly where that goes, JavaScript calls, etc. The body is where HTML goes that's visible to the users. And on most HTML sites, the way they're created is there is like one code that most pages reference. So usually you would have something like this. If you just have pages, you see like this is my FTP and this is my directory structure of my website. So usually you would have something like divs or something like that. Like you see, I have a directory called divs, and the directory called divs has something like header, and that's where the code for the headers goes. So you basically paste it once, and then that header is referenced by all your pages. And so once you paste that once, all your pages now start having Google Analytics 4 installed. So that's how you do this if you are doing straight HTML coding. But let's say you don't know HTML coding and you're not comfortable doing this, then you have other options. Let's go to WordPress. I happen to already have Google Analytics 4 installed on the website already, and it's this website called Touched by a Song. It's my hobby music website. It's a pretty basic website, just has videos to songs. And we're interested in this site now because it has Google Analytics 4 installed. I'll show you my setup here. So I'm in the back end of my WordPress setup for this site, and you'll see that under plugins, I'm going to go to installed plugins, and I have a plugin for this already to manage my Google Analytics 4. You see right here, Google Analytics for WordPress by Monster Insights. This isn't the only WordPress plugin that helps you manage Google Analytics, but it's working for me and it's free. So the way you would find it is you would actually go and add new, click right here on the left, and then you're going to be able to search just like that, Google Analytics for WordPress, and you'll get some results. Obviously, that's the one I got. It's pretty standard, 3+ million active user installations. And since I already have it installed, let's say you add it, you click install now. In my case, I should update it just so that I'm showing you everything latest. So I'll update now and I'll just restart when it's updated. So that took about 2 minutes and now it says updated. So let's go find it under installed plugins. So I click the installed plugins. I'm going to scroll all the way down there. And you want to click on settings. Obviously for me, it's activated. In your case, you're going to want to install and then activate, then click settings. You see it says website profile, active profile, this. I'm going to show you where that comes from. So I'm going to go to my Google Analytics, just in a different browser tab. And so now I'm in my music website, Analytics here, and I'll go to admin and I'll go to this, you see music property, that's the one we're working with. And then I'm going to go to data streams and I'm going to just click it. And you see when I clicked it, it says measurement ID right here. This G-LG3 whatever ends in V9BM. Right here is what I gave it. You see active profile. See this LG3161 this. So when you're setting up yours, you have to enter this measurement ID right here, and this plugin will do all the work. See, it's much easier than actually going in and changing your HTML and making sure it's on every page. Here is just with a plugin, very basic. And if ever something stops working in your analytics, it probably shouldn't. But if it does, then you would just go and make sure everything's updated. Your WordPress is updated and your plugins are updated, and then you'll have this working. So this is how to connect a data stream, essentially the data in your website, to Google Analytics 4 so that Google Analytics 4 can start showing you reports. Now, reports are not going to show up immediately. It takes some time for all this to get processed. But as you see, that's what I did. And pretty quickly, I was able to start seeing all kinds of information about my music website. So in the next videos, we're going to explore all the reports you may be able to see here if you have a new website. If you are really eager to start looking into Google Analytics 4 reports without having to wait for your website to get set up and without having all your accounts connected, Google actually provides you with a few demo accounts you can browse right away. Here's a page that discusses the demo accounts. I'll have this URL in the resources section of this video, so you can just click it and come here. But I'll save you essentially most of the reading. You get 3 different websites you can click on. One is a universal analytics property, which you really don't want anymore. But Google has this Google merchandise store, which is interesting because it's a real store and it has the Google Analytics 4 property associated with it. So we can click this and actually get taken to the Google Analytics 4 reports for that website. So let's actually go over this account. This is a Google website, and it's basically a website where Google sells merchandise, like Google merch, with Google logos and stuff. So you can see that you have some real-time data right here. Users in the last 30 minutes. You can see where they're from. You can watch it real time. I never really quite find the global view that helpful, but it is really visually interesting and fascinating where people are landing on your site from. What's also interesting is that it's a real store, so you can see some people are coming home, right, to the home page, but some people are adding products to the shopping cart. And so if obviously this was your website, then you would really want to know what is the sales conversion versus how many people have the items on their shopping cart, etc. You see, like here, it says shopping cart is 50 people, but sale seems to be only 17 people, so they have quite a bit of a drop-off, which is of course natural. Not everybody who puts items into a shopping cart buys them. And then you can browse more things. You see they give you more variables, like this is 1 out of 6 that's showing, but you have really 113 different things that are happening on your website because you can create a lot of custom things that are happening on your website, custom events that you want to track, because you see every website is a little different. And so the flexibility that Google Analytics gives you is, yes, it gives you some preset reports, but it also gives you flexibility to create your own reports and track in things that are important to you. So that's what we'll be getting into later. So if we go back to the home page of Google Analytics 4 for this particular property, that Google merchandise store, you can see a lot of insights and recommendations. This is their machine learning. This is the intelligent Google, and they sometimes even give you recommendations for what to do. And you see here, they created a report where you can see Google Organic, that's search traffic, and they can tell you, hey, search traffic is driving the most conversions at 25%, whereas the ads, that's CPC, the conversions are far fewer. And then for some reason, conversions from Baidu are even smaller, etc., etc. And so if this is the kind of data that's interesting for your business, you would want to have this report readily available. Whereas obviously this is not an interesting report for every business. And the way you'd navigate this is obviously wherever you are, you can always go back to home right here. You can always go to look at more detailed views of reports like demographics, technology, user retention, acquisition. Like user retention and engagement is very interesting. Like if you look at overview, some of the basic things that Google Analytics 4 tracks are page views, whether people scroll on the page or not, things like this. So to contrast this, because this is quite extensive and quite complicated right away, I'll show you how my basic music website looks like. So if I go to analytics, See right here, admin, and I'll go to not the demo account, but my Semantic Valley. This is my main business account. Then I'll be able to find this music property, and under the music property, I'll be able to go home. And now I'm getting my music property analytics. And so the reports are going to be not as interesting. You can basically see the page titles. You can kind of see it in a snapshot. If you want to see more of it, you can click more and it will show you more. Now, if you're familiar with Universal Google Analytics, this will look a little different, because in Universal Google Analytics, the default was to show you URLs of pages, but you see in here, the default is to show titles of pages, which can be a little confusing, and I find it a little more cryptic to read. Even though I created these titles of pages, I still feel like it's a little awkward to read. Maybe I'm just really used to the old way. But in any case, you can basically see per page, like songs with imagery is a blog post that I wrote discussing songs with interesting imagery, like interesting poetry. So here, songs with beautiful song lyrics that inspire. And then you can see how many views I have. Like obviously in this time period, it's my most popular page. And then you can see, okay, as a website owner, you can see people are coming to it. You can start thinking in two kinds of ways. You can start thinking, well, what did I do on this page that makes it rank? Is it that it's more engaging? So if you want to see which of my pages are more engaging, here, none of them are that engaging if you look at views per user, because when people land on specific blog posts, none of them really read that much, and it doesn't look like they travel to other posts. The only page that gets a lot of activity is when somebody lands on the actual home of the website. And so from the home page, people navigate around, but not when they land on some specific post. On the other hand, well, still, like this post, for example, seems to get more traffic than all the other pages here, so I'd want to look further into it. So one great clue would be if this had a lot of engagement time, like this is 23 seconds, although perhaps this Mr. Tambourine Man has a far greater level of engagement, and this is a popular song by Bob Dylan, and I did like a really good analysis of it. So people who are interested in the analysis of that song are obviously sticking around longer. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to correlate with traffic, because it just gets very little traffic, although it gets more traffic than most of the pages on that site. The problem with that site is it's in the music niche, which everything in music is incredibly competitive and hard to rank, and this is just my hobby website, so everything is extra hard for me here. But at the same time, this page is actually getting real engagement in terms of people are actually spending time on it. An average person is spending over a minute reading something there. Whereas if you look at the other pages, they're getting far less engagement. So on the flip side, I can see, this is an interesting page. Can I make these pages more interesting so that the users stay? And you can also mouse over and scroll to the right, and you'll get more data. Like revenue, I don't try to make money from this, so the revenue is 0. Conversions, I don't sell anything, so conversion is 0. But what's also interesting is another metric of user engagement, and this is unique scrolls. Like, are people actually scrolling on the page? So people are scrolling here, but they seem to be just browsing. So it looks like they're looking for something else, right? They're scrolling, but they're not finding what they want, and they're kind of leaving. Whereas people are quite engaged on that Mr. Tambourine Man page, and they're also scrolling quite a bit. So you can see what's happening, and then judging on these metrics, you can either improve existing pages, or you can create more of the kind of pages that seem to be popular. And of course, another interesting report here is the retention. So you want to click here on retention, and you want to look at, okay, so you have new people, how many of them return? 25. That's actually more than I thought, because, if you read a blog post you randomly find online, most people don't really return. So I actually found this surprising that around 10% of the people just under that return. And then we probably want to know a little bit about the users. For example, who are they? So you look at demographic overview, mostly in US, which makes sense because it's kind of an English language website that deals with Western cultural kind of music. For music, one thing that would be interesting is age. So here we have users by country. We can look at, let's say, returning users. Who are they? And most people who return are from English-speaking areas. So these are the kinds of things that you can basically see that are predefined for you. But you can also define your own things that you're interested in. So in this video, I wanted to show you what's possible, which is to set up your own unique custom reports. And also what's readily available is the predefined reports. And in the next videos, let's explore these in more detail and drill down to more and more powerful features of Google Analytics 4. In this video, I want to answer a very common question I get by first-time SEO practitioners or people with a new website. They ask, is my site set up for SEO? Usually, the answer is actually yes. And usually that's not the problem. If you are not ranking, usually something else is a problem, like your niche is too competitive, you're too early, you have to wait longer, or maybe you're not creating the right kind of content, issues like this. But in this video, I do want to go over when people ask me, like, is my website set up well for SEO? What does that mean to me? For me, the first thing that comes to mind is your website crawlable and indexable. There are additional issues like, are you creating good content? Those are more advanced, those are more complex. We'll cover that elsewhere. But the crawlability and indexability, I want to go over that with you. And of course, there's a tool for that. It's the Sitemap XML. In this course, in a different part of the course, I walk you through using screen sharing exactly how to set it up and exactly how to add it to Google Webmaster. So you should have no problem using the sitemap. But even the sitemap, how does it know which of your pages belong on your site? So let me show you. This is my blog. It's nothing special. It's on glowingstart.com. What I am trying to show you is, you see my recent posts, I can just click on them, right? So of course, from the home page, this post would be crawlable, no problem. But what about posts that I wrote years ago? Well, look at this. On the right side, what I want to show you is, see past posts? So you can actually click on, like, let's say I did something in 2014 and I'll click on that and I see, okay, so I can actually navigate using 3 clicks to this page. You see, from the home page, I went to this widget that talks about my old posts from here, and then I can click on any post. So any page on this blog is a page that I can navigate to using 3 clicks. If I do that, then Google can do that. They can crawl the site just like you can click through the site. But if I had not had this widget in WordPress, this is called a widget, and I basically enabled my past posts to be shown on the right side. If I disabled this and this didn't show up, Google would have a much harder time. It would have to crawl all posts, all posts, all posts, and then it would disregard posts that it had to scroll like 20 pages deep or 30 pages deep. It would disregard those. It would say, oh, those are not important. And if I didn't have this link for old posts and I didn't have this navigation on the right side, then Google would have no way to crawl my website to get to the old posts. And then the answer to the question, is my website set up for SEO? The answer would be no, right? Because the pages would sort of die on their own. They wouldn't be linked throughout the page. So that's the first thing that I think of when I get this question. And it's really important to make sure, look at your site. Are you able to navigate everywhere? Usually on WordPress sites, it's taken care of for you in a lot of ways because WordPress knows to pre-build this, to build this in because it's so important. But if you create a custom site, something like I have on Problemio.com, this is that Problemio.com site. And you see, what I did is I made sure that on the top navigation, I have links to all my content. And if I go, let's say I click on business planning and I go to some page, well, there's links to all these additional things like product strategies and other things. So really my goal was to interlink all the pages and make sure that every page on the site is linked to from another page so that Google again can navigate to it. And a rule of thumb is if a page is important for you to rank, if you're actively trying to rank a page and you're taking a lot of effort to do it, then it should be no more than 3 links deep, meaning it would be either on the homepage, or if you click anywhere from the homepage, let's say I click on coaching, then any of my sub-coaching pages should be somewhere I can click to from here, but not 4 or 5 or 6 pages deep, because that tells Google that those pages that are like 6 clicks deep on your page are not that important, because they're buried so far deep in your site, and that's going to rank them lower. So just make sure that if you can navigate by clicking through every page, then Google can. And if you can't, then Google still probably can, but like they have other ways, but it's much harder, and that will be a problematic for ranking of those pages that you can't navigate to by clicking. There was an interesting little happening in the SEO world recently where Google's John Mueller, if you don't know John Mueller, he works on the Google Webmaster team, which is if you're doing SEO, he is exactly the guy that's doing the work to answer what's ranking, what's not ranking. He's the guy. And he's often on social media, and he was asked about, okay, what are the top 3 SEO signals? Because everybody always asks, what are the top signals? And he has this interesting answer that caused a lot of debate. He had this quote: I think it's tricky when you have something like top 3 ranking factors, because things change so quickly and vary from query to query and time to time. This means that depending on the actual search, the ranking factors matter. So there's an old thinking, there's a top ranking factor. And actually, don't get it wrong, there are still top ranking factors, but know that from query to query, some factors might take on more importance and some factors might take on less importance. Of course, Google will never tell us in which cases that happens, but we should be aware of this. Now, I dug up an article about this, the history of this, from 2017. So there has been some chatter about this, and let's go over some of the highlights of that. This article also says top ranking factors for a web page will change depending on the query. And this comes from this guy, Gary, who works at Google also. Now, Google is always vague about this. So whatever they say, it doesn't mean it's true. It means they have to give very general answers, because as soon as somebody at Google gives something specific, like literally like 100,000 website owners start doing something specific. So they have to be extremely careful about how they word things. And so now there's this Google's John Mueller, who we just got introduced to, chimes in and says the only thing the algorithm is supposed to do is show what's relevant. How it finds what's relevant varies. So that's the only thing they're sticking with, is we're only showing what's relevant for the query. And he suggests that optimizing for specific ranking factors is short-term thinking. They actually go further and say that links are not often the top ranking factor. And we usually know, like as almost factual, links are usually across the board, statistically, for most cases, they are the top ranking factor. But they say often that it's not even that, because if you have something specific like a long tail query, and I'm just basically rephrasing the article for you as I go down, then if you have a long tail query that doesn't have a lot of competition, sometimes then other things come into play, like how well you cover the topic and things like that. So if you have a deep niche that you've chosen, well, you got a lot of long tail queries. For those, different factors apply, probably like content quality and comprehensiveness and relevance to what the search is, rather than the authority of the site, which is created by the backlinks. So this is kind of like slightly next level thinking. Most SEO practitioners don't get into this. So don't worry about it too much. Let's come back to earth and reality and simplify things. And throughout this course, we talk about top Google ranking signals, but let's just go over them to make sense of things. What you should do for SEO is you should get backlinks from relevant sites using relevant keywords in anchor text, and obviously balanced. It shouldn't be all the same anchor text. It should have some variation so it looks real. Then your content, you should use the keywords in your content. You should publish frequently. You should have good length to your article. And even more important than length is comprehensiveness of how well do you cover the topic? Do you cover it well? Is it a good page? And of course, your social sharing and social activity and resharing of your content matters as well for your ranking. And your site speed and usability, of course, matter. And mobile friendliness is mattering more and more and more. These are really important today. And now with this video, see, you have a balance. You have this kind of like higher level thinking. Google is smarter than just these are the top 3, but at the same time, these are still the go-to good practices for SEO.